America, mainly creating projects that support innovation, environment, and social sustainability in developing countries, mainly in Latin America. I am the founder of zeroCO2, a startup dealing with reforestation with high social impact in several countries around the world. I am also the founder of the non-profit organization Comparte, which deals with quality education and innovation in Guatemala. Just to give you a quick summary of my educational background, as it could be also that apply to you. I have a degree in international relations at Bologna University with an Erasmus in Madrid, and I have experience in international cooperation in different regions of the world, including Africa and Latin America, as said before. After a working experience in the European institution in Brussels, in the educational field, I decided to dedicate myself to cooperation by managing a reforestation project in Guatemala, where I've been living for almost 1 year. I did not hate the work experience at the European institution. I love it. And I think that without those experiences, I would have never made zeroCO2 and Comparte. That's definitely my answer to whom is asking me, why you leave your work at the European institution? You didn't like it? No, I love it, but my idea was to create an impact in other countries of the world. So the reason that inspired my work can be maybe traced to my love for the natural environment and my desire to protect it. Over the last 40 years, you need to try to focus it. Over the last 40 years, world forests have been plundered, and that is why I decided to dedicate my life to restoration project of forest areas. And with this commitment, I founded zeroCO2 between 2018 and 2019. So what about zeroCO2? Can I share my screen here? I think that I can, no? Okay, so just...
yes, you should be able to.
Okay. So I want to share with you the experience of zeroCO2 because it's really connected with... Okay. Can you see? Yeah. Okay. Can you see my screen, the presentation?
Yes.
Yes, it's perfect.
So zeroCO2, it's a benefit corporation. Maybe you know what a benefit corporation is. It's a for-profit organization, but with the idea to leave an impact to the society, to the environment. So zeroCO2, it's a benefit corporation that deals with environmental sustainability through reforestation project with high social impact. So what we do, we carry out reforestation, afforestation, and forest conservation in urban and rural areas in several countries in order to safeguard the natural environment and improve local people's living condition. No? So we implement a specific technique in reforestation, which is regenerative agroforestry, a system that places sustainable agriculture in order to replicate the natural ecosystem. So our project promotes the sustainable development of farming communities, for example, in Guatemala, but we also work in Peru, Argentina, and in Italy. So we donate the tree to those communities, and we share with them the knowledge and the competencies to innovate the agricultural technique that they have. So we donate trees to farmers in developing countries, and we train them on organic agriculture and sustainable land management. And then once the trees are donated to the farmers, we provide them with training courses and long-term support to show them how environmentally sustainable land management approaches are effective in ensuring good crops while restoring the soil and protecting the environment. Why I'm telling you this? Because it's really, really important to focus in the future of the environment with a real connection with the communities that live those contexts that are reforested or any other activity, environmental speaking. I'll go deeper on that in a few minutes. So our planting activity is tracked via GPS and can be verified through Chloe, our exclusive tracking system. Each tree has a unique QR code and an ID, which allow our customer, business or consumer, to monitor the growth and health status of their trees. So our experience with Chloe has shown us that more information and transparency about reforestation activities generate more trust among customer, partners, and in general on all our stakeholders. Okay, so digital technologies can significantly increase the impact of our activities in several ways. We believe that the technology has to play a central role in social and environmental innovation. So far, we have been able to plant nearly 400,000 trees and reforest around 400 areas. In Guatemala, Peru, Argentina, and Italy, we have offset around 100,000 tons of CO2, has supported more than 7,000 families, which means around 20,000 people, with food security and economic support. Why? Because if you harvest a mango from the tree, you can either sell to the market or use it as food in your house. In the Amazon forest in Peru, we have recovered endangered historical seed also, and the partnership between zeroCO2 and our non-profit organization Comparte has provided around 1,000 hours of training on sustainable land management. So supporting communities, and I'm going to finish the presentation of zeroCO2 in 1 minute. Supporting community and the local economy is one of zeroCO2 key objectives. Every zeroCO2 project has tangible positive impacts, not only for the environment, but specifically for the people who live in the communities where we work. So we give them tools and knowledge to be able to manage and value local resources to support economic regeneration. We believe that sustainable development can only be achieved if organization and business corporate start to play a significant role. We share our knowledge and experience with all our stakeholders. That's an example on how we do that. We have been able to create our project thanks to the relationship that we have established with our partner, which include many universities in Latin America and in Europa, and also public organization that helped us in the beginning of the project. So just to finish the presentation of zeroCO2, we believe that education is the engine of sustainable development. So here the other charts is about Italy. Now I would like to share with you a link just that you can open with your phone. No, because you're not by phone. I cannot use the chat, Elena, right?
Yeah, you can.
No, la chat è disponibile solo per i membri del team.
Send it to me by phone and I can send it here if you want.
Yeah. Just, I don't know, I can share my screen. That's
Okay.
that's what we can do. Okay, awesome. So I can share my screen up. So please take your phone and can you see my screen?
Yes.
So please just visit menti.com and use the code 83753903 and just answer the 2 questions that I've prepared for you. And I'll be waiting a couple minutes. Just 2 questions, it's super easy to answer. It's not working?
No, it's working, it's working. It's perfect.
Okay. Now, I don't know if you know Menti, I'm pretty sure you are. Here all the words that you are using to when you think about sustainability. Why I'm making these? Because in few minutes we're going to see that everyone sees sustainability in a different way, and that's something that when we think about future and sustainable development, we should think about that. So I don't know if everybody's 12, how many we are? 19, so almost everybody is complete. So here we see environment, clearly, future, zero waste product, the future, inclusion, reusable progress, health-friendly, solution to climate change, conservation, ecosystem. And every single word is correct, it's right, as you can imagine. For me, the word about, when I think about sustainability, is dignity, and we will try to understand later why this word is that important for me. And then for the second, you didn't answer the second. Did you answer the second also or not?
Not yet.
Not yet? Okay, I'll be waiting. It's curious that no one used the word words like people, population, person, human beings. And that's interesting because sustainability, it's a lot about people, about social impact, about how we are going to live in this planet. So, and also here, you will see that sustainability, it's different for everyone here. So thinking long term is definitely a good definition. Leaving the earth in a better condition than we found it, that would be nice, but it's tricky. Necessity, efficiency, protecting our future and environment, the long-term balance and ability of coexistence of humanity with nature also. Rethinking today, shaping tomorrow. That's something familiar for me. Sustainability is maintaining the lives of today while protecting the people of tomorrow, to act with our future in mind. So you see that there is one word which is really common when we think about sustainability, sustainable development, which is future. Why? I think that we are 19 here, 20 now. We are all scared about our future, about the condition of our planet in a few months, few years, not anymore a few decades. And that's one of the biggest problem that we, the young, we should try to figure out some solution. So today I speak about the environmental value and the social value, about trees, about forest ecosystem, and how we are relating our development with forest and those ecosystems. Then I'll go deeper on the situation of the forest in Europe, and I think that you will learn something new because there are some interesting data. And then I will leave you the space to make any kind of answer. So I think that we are all agree that forests have fascinated human beings since time immemorial. No, they have provided us with food, shelter, clothing, and countless other resources that have sustained humans since the dawn of human evolution. But do you know what a forest is? The standard of reference is the definition of the FAO. The forest is an area of at least 0.5 hectares with trees capable of reaching at least 5 meters in height, that with their foliage, I'm reading the definition, cover at least the 10% of the land. Excluded from this definition are urban parks, garden, and tree formation in agricultural areas. Giving a single definition is the only way to truly understand how forest area changes over time. Okay, so forest ecosystem are a critical component of the world biodiversity, as many forests are more biodiverse than other ecosystems. Forests cover the 31% of the global land area. The total forest area is around 4 billion hectares, but forests are not equally distributed around the globe. More than half of the world forest are found in only 5 countries: Russian Federation, Brazil, Canada, United States of America, and China. And 2/3, around the 66% of forests are found in just 10 countries. So deforestation and forest degradation continue to take place at alarming rates. It's really common to watch photos of fire in the Amazon forest. So this deforestation is contributing significantly to the ongoing loss of biodiversity. Since 1990, it is estimated that around 200 million hectares of forest have been lost through conversion to other land uses, mainly agriculture. An area large as the size of Libya is the size of forest lost since 1990. In particular, Africa and Latin America, as you could imagine, experienced the highest rate of net forest loss over the last 10 years. So, which is the main driver of deforestation? Agricultural expansion. Agricultural expansion continues to be the main driver of deforestation and forest degradation, and the associated loss of forest biodiversity. Large-scale commercial agriculture, primarily cattle ranching and cultivation of soybean and oil palm accounted for 40% of tropical deforestation between 2000 and 2010. You need to you need to imagine that local subsistence agriculture is just at 33% the responsible for deforestation. So humans have looked at trees as a natural resource that can be exploited for their gains or eliminated to make room for other economic activities. However, apart from the many materials that trees provide us, trees also perform extremely important functions that are not that noticeable to all of us. These functions are the called ecosystem services. What are the ecosystem services? Ecosystem services are those actions that are vital for the entire ecosystem to function effectively. Trees act as indicator of an area and its ecological health. From an ecological point of view, trees contribute to the environment by providing oxygen, improving air quality, climate amelioration, conserving water, preserving soil, and supporting wildlife. So during as you know, during the process of photosynthesis, trees take in the carbon dioxide and produce the oxygen that we breathe. So in this context, reforestation is considered to be one of the most performing action in the fight against the climate crisis. Trees are considered as the most effective and economical technology for greenhouse gas offsetting. Moreover, forests are proven to play a crucial role in preserving biodiversity as they enable several living organisms to survive and thrive. So, trees do not only protect and restore our environment, they also have a huge impact on the lives of our community. Reforestation activities support the global effort to hinder climate change and work to preserve the protect of the ecosystem, while also creating the economic and social development for disadvantaged communities. That's crucial when you think about deforestation. So forests provide subsistence and income to about 25% of the world population. They hold cultural, social, and spiritual values and represent a large part of the land traditionally inhabited by indigenous people. So that's the situation of the forest, of this ecosystem in our planet. I gave you some data about deforestation, about forest, about the importance of the forest in our planet. So now maybe you're asking yourself, okay, but which is the situation of the forest in Europe? In Europe, we have around the 25%, almost the 25% of the global forest. So as Europeans, we are very lucky, as across the 50 territories of Europe, there are around 1 billion of hectares of forest. In all the planet, there are 4 billion hectares. We have 1 billion of 1 billion hectares of forest. Yeah. So since 1990, our forest here in Europe increased 23 million of hectares, and I'm pretty sure that you didn't know about that, because our media, they are focused on the climate crisis. Maybe in a correct way. So overall, forest covered the first 46% of Europe land, storing, I can give you the data, 55 gigatons of carbon, clearly in the biomass, so in the trunk of the tree, and around 170 gigatons overall. For example, what do I mean overall? Forest soil can make a huge difference. So if you are wondering what a gigaton look like, it is 1 billion tons, or equivalent to 200 million elephants, okay? So in Europe, Finland is currently top of the league of European countries for forest cover, with around 75% of its land, followed in second place by Sweden with around 70%, and Montenegro and Slovenia at around 60% each. So forests are an important economic resource. They generate income just in Europe for more than 16 million private forest owners, and forest activities have a turnover of almost 500 billion, employing approximately 3.5 million people. So also from the economic point of view, forests in Europe are really, really, really important. But forests also provide unseen services. Alongside the wood and other products, forests are also valuable for their ecosystem services, as we already said couple minutes ago, no? So, for example, more than 20% of European forests are managed to protect water and soils, mainly in the mountainous area, no? So other services include preventing flood and filtering air, and that's something that we really need to think about, because forests are not just the place where animals live, so we store CO2. We really need to think about the ecosystem services that forests give us every single year. But clearly forests help us to mitigate climate change impact, and the climate change is something generated by human beings, so forests help us to mitigate the impacts of climate change. So European forests absorb approximately around 10% of Europe's annual greenhouse gas emission, according to Eurostat. That's an Eurostat data.
And Andrea, may I pose you a question that is strictly linked to ecosystem services? So I'm sure that by now the delegates and the participants in general know what ecosystem services are. So I wanted to ask your personal opinion on payment for ecosystem services, maybe with a focus on RED+, considering that you work in that area. So if you can just have an introduction to this concept for the participants, and your personal opinion on this way. Does it foster capitalism and a commercialization of nature, or is it a way forward?
Thank you for the question, Ella. That's super important to focus on that point. So I give you the example of Italy, because it's the one that I better know, and it's also the most representative example. In Italy, we have the second biggest forest area in Europe, just after Spain. We have the most rich forest in Europe in terms of biodiversity, but we have the poorest forest in terms of managing those forests. What do I mean? Why Italy has this much forest? Because no one is managing our forest. So basically, when you live a small town in the mountains, forest year after years go in the small town and rewild this small town. So here in Italy, in the last 30 years, we saw an increasement of 25% of forest land in our country. But as no one is managing those forests, we have different problems originated by disorganization of the land management here in Italy. First of all, we are the second producer in the world of objects made by wood. Okay, so we really need a lot of wood. Our industry, they really need a lot of wood, but we buy the 85% of the wood that our industries needs. So remember, we have the second forest of Europe. We are the second eastern industries of wood manufacturing, but we still buy the 85% of wood from China, France, and Austria. So the point, Elena, and thanks again for your question, is that if we could have a better organization of the management of our forest, we also would have a forest plan that include the restoring of our forest by replanting trees, taking out the old trees. So you take out an old trees, you take the wood, you use it for your industry, and then you replant the tree. That's how, for example, Germany is doing. They don't have as big as our forest, but they are really good in the management of the forest. So the thing here is that it's not bad to cut a tree if you have a plan. So in Italy, we have a lack of planification of forest management. So to answer your question, it's good to have industry working with forest if there is a plan from the state, from the European institution, to give the border of the industrial activity. So that's the official answer that I give you. Then there is the other answer, that is, if there aren't the border, so the rules, the regulation that keep the industry in an area, in a specific area, then we would have the same situation of Brazil, the same situation of Africa, the same situation of Latin America. So the point here is, if a country as Germany does, as Finland does, as Sweden does, as a forest plan management, then it's really good to have industry working with forest. Otherwise, they are just generating deforestation without any kind of plan for the future. I hope to have answered your question.
Thank you.
Okay. So I have on this point, I would like to share with you once again my screen here. Where is Papa? And that's it. Can you see my screen? I think that you do. So, as you can understand, this is how the forest of every single country absorb the emission of greenhouse gases in this country. So you see that Europe, it's around, as I was saying before, the 10%. Sweden, they are absorbing around 80%. Finland around 60%, and so on. So it's really interesting for me to watch this infographic, because it's saying us something that is really important. There is no country that is absorbing the 100% of the emission. So who is, or what is offsetting their emission? The answer is the forest that we are destroying in Brazil, in Africa, and in Latin America. Why I say us? By us I mean Europe, United States, and China mainly, because of mainly soybean and oil palm. Why soybean? Because soybean is the food for the animal. So livestock needs a lot of soybean, and where you can plant soybean, where there were forests. Okay, so that's important. So just I'll try to go to some conclusion. As you saw, as you understand, Europe has great forest coverage. We still have to protect and to promote the sustainable development of our forest, and mainly the sustainable planification of land management in our countries. But we are in a good situation overall. I'm sorry, Elena. At what time should I finish? 7:15? No.
No, half past. But
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. With 15 minutes for question, right?
Yes, like the last 15 minutes are usually for a buffer. So if you want to start questions even before, as you wish.
Okay, thank you. So how can I conclude? Okay, so forest structure in Europe are becoming more uniform. The variety of the trees in Europe is reduced by the industry, and this means that forest biodiversity is in loss, making this ecosystem, the forest ecosystem, less resilient to pests, for example, disease, and climate change. So natural forests once covered most of Europe, but only a very small proportion remains untouched, mostly in isolated pockets. Okay, so the forest that we have today is not primary forest, it's a rewild, regenerated forest. So even though European forest coverage is growing, many forest ecosystems are in poor health. The effect of poor forest management, as I was saying before, can be seen in the population of woodland bird, for example. With there is a data that give you an idea of what I mean when I see that forests are in poor health condition, and it's about the health of bird. So the bird ecosystem, let's call it like this, we have lost the bird ecosystem by 30% in some region of Europe between 1980 and 2005. Okay, so there is a problem that we need to monitor. And there is another one. Invasive alien species are increasingly a problem for European forests. Why? Because climate change, the change of temperature, bring in our forests new species that we didn't know before, we didn't have before. So there are around 1,000, 2,000 species in Europe forest that are invasive and alien to the natural environment of Europe. For example, European forests have been devastated by Dutch elm disease caused by fungi introduced from Asia. So there is this kind also of problem. Climate change is very likely to harm forest ecosystem. One area which may change is the pattern of forest fires. On average, we need to think that around 400,000 hectares of forest currently burns down every year, mostly in the Mediterranean region. Some habitats, such as forest wetlands, are particularly sensitive to climate change. So deforestation and forest degradation negatively affect many of the European global objectives in various policy fields, such as biodiversity protection, climate change, human rights, peace, for example, but also security, good governance, and the rule of law. Therefore, substantial action to combat deforestation and forest degradation is needed to enable the European Union to meet its related international commitment. So, as you know, I'm pretty sure, on the 23rd July 2019, the European Commission adopted an EU communication on stepping up EU action to protect and restore the world forest. So the communication has the objective to protect and to improve the health of existing forests, especially primary forest, and significantly increasing the sustainable and biodiverse forest coverage worldwide. So there are 5 priorities set out from this communication or from European Union, and those 5 are to reduce the footprint of European consumption of land and encourage the consumption of products from deforestation-free supply chain in the European Union. Second, work in partnership with producer countries to reduce pressure on forests and to deforest-proof EU development cooperation. Third, strengthen international cooperation to halt deforestation and forest degradation and encourage forest restoration. So maybe about that, you remember when the President of France, Macron, advised the President of Brazil, Bolsonaro, to tackle somehow the burning forest in the Amazon forest, no? So the fourth point is to redirect finance to support more sustainable land use practices. And fifth is to support the availability and quality of information on forest and commodity supply, and to somehow guarantee the access to that information. Why? All the data that I gave you stop in terms of recollecting of data around 2010. After this year, we don't have that much information on forest and commodity supply chain. Okay, so to conclude, and then I'll give you the space to make answers, to make question. I'm sorry. As some of you may know, the 22nd of April was Earth Day, and exactly on this day, US President Biden called the world leader to meet for the climate summit. And he said something that is like this: we are resolved to act, responding and fighting climate change. I see an opportunity to create millions of jobs. Those are the words of Biden. The Italian Prime Minister Draghi said, what has been done is not enough, reverse course now. Xi Jinping said China to zero emission by 2060. Putin said world units on scientific research. The Pope appeal is world leader act with courage. So I think that are really good, really interesting declaration. No more than that. We are living in times that we really need to focus on practical solution, concrete solution to climate change. That's why when Elena and her team asked me to speak about something on sustainability, on ecosystem, for me, it's really hard to go in an abstract analysis also on sustainability. No, I really have this approach when I speak about sustainability, that it's really concrete. I want to see data. I want to see how we have done up to date, and try to figure out how can we fix it in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years maximum, not in the next 25 years. I'm not saying that climate crisis it's an easy problem or that we can fix it in the next 5 years. I'm saying that in the next 5 years, we need to figure out many different solutions, not just reforestation, many different solutions to fight the climate crisis. I said before that I've been living in Latin America a lot of time, a long period of my life I've spent in Latin America, and there is an intellectual actor that says something that is really interesting. Maybe you know him. It's the former president of Uruguay, Pepe Mujica, who say that human beings are the only animal that, even if know that if we keep going in this direction, we are going to disappear, we still don't change our direction. Do you know an animal that, even if it know that in this direction is going to disappear, will keep this direction? I don't. So I hope that the commitment of the world leaders will increase, but mainly that they will be able to change the way they are speaking about sustainability in a more concrete and technical way. So with this, I finish my speech, and I leave you the space for question. Yeah, Grigori or Langzova, it's hard to pronounce it. Please.
Langzova, please go first. I can wait a bit.
Oh, okay, thank you. So my question is, since we are also told that around the sustainability we also need to reduce the consumption of plastic, and with that, more and more businesses are turning into for example, wooden throwaway utensils, paper bags for one use, so on and so forth. And yeah, don't you think that the transition from plastic resources to other resources is also supporting the idea of deforestation? And if so, then how can we solve it?
Super interesting. Thank you. What's your name? I'm sorry.
You can see my surname Lantova, but you can just call me Lucy.
Lucy. Okay. So thank you for your question. It's super interesting. I think that there are two different solutions to the big problem, big issue that you spoke about. First of all, recycling. Recycling is one of the most effective solutions to the problem that you are speaking about. Why? First of all, because we have a lot of plastic to recycle still. And secondly, because paper can easily be recycled. That's why recycling is the first solution to the problem that you're speaking about. Secondly, what I was trying to explain you before about forest sustainable management, it's really about what you are saying. If I cannot use, because of different point of view, because of different ideas, different problems generated by plastic, if I cannot use plastic, so I will need to use paper packaging, maybe. Anyway, in any case, I will need any kind of packaging, no? So I'll need to produce it. The thing here is to understand that a forest can be managed in two different ways: a sustainable way, unsustainable way. What they are doing in Brazil, it's unsustainable. Why? Because they are just cutting down trees and that's it. What we should do here in Europe, and we are doing here in Europe, because all the wood produced in Europe, almost all the wood produced in Europe is certified FSC. I don't have the access to the chat. Anyway, you should know it. FSC. It's the certification of sustainable management of forest. Okay, so the two solutions to the problem that you spoke about, it's first of all recycling, and secondly to better work, to better live together with forest. Okay, I hope to answer your question. Grigori, please.
Yeah. First of all, Andrea, I would like to thank you for the whole presentation. Deforestation and anything related to sustainability is an issue that has been bothering me since younghood, and I appreciate when people take such drastic steps towards improving. And I believe, like, as I was looking and listening to you, I also found a site of your startup and read through all of the achievements, and I got interested in you during the meeting said that education is one of the most optimal solutions to achieve sustainability, and I completely agree with that. And there are people who have limited knowledge of this issue. You began somewhere. You started making small steps into achieving bigger steps as you do now. What is a primary source of knowledge, or what are the first steps you would advise people could take to go further into this, finding solutions for these issues?
Super interesting question, Gregory. Thank you. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm fully sure that education is the most important ingredient when we speak about our future, about sustainable development. And concerning your question, I think that we should go deeper, study more in deeper how the climate crisis is affecting our planet. So to give you practical ideas, what we are doing from zeroCO2 every single day. If you visit our Instagram page, you will find a company that is not promoting its product. You will find a company that is trying to sensibilize all the community that we have around today, Italy, in the near future around Europe. So there are a lot of ways. You just need to find the one that you prefer to reach, to have, to learn about climate crisis, or about forest, or about deforestation, or about specific topic that you are interested in. There are podcasts, a lot of sources that you could use in your everyday life to better understand the problem and to better create your own idea. So the thing here is, what I really suggest you is just visit social media, visit Spotify or your podcast software application, and listen to others from all around the world, what they are saying about this problem in their specific countries, because that's the way the shared community that we have today in 2021 is the bigger resource that we have worldwide. So use it and try to have always somehow a way to verify the data that they are giving you, but it's easy thanks to internet. So just start to follow different ways to reach this kind of information.
Perfect, thank you.
Other question, Elena, I saw you, but also Mathieu, MVM.
First of all, I just want to say thank you very much for such an interesting presentation. I was wondering, what are your kind of experiences or your views on how deforestation is impacting native or indigenous communities in forested areas? Because I feel like in the global north, we tend to look at how we will be affected by deforestation in like 10 or 20 years. But obviously there are people whose lives are being affected like now with access to clean water and, you know, fertile land and so on.
Andrea, I was telling you that you were muted while I was muted.
Wow.
So you're on mute, but I'll take this chance to build on what Emma has just asked, so you answer us both, which is going to be how traditional knowledge is implemented in forest conservation in your experience. So not only how it is impacted, but how it is a source of knowledge that shifts away from, let's say, the global north paradigm.
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, super good question. No, what I was saying before is that I want to congratulate you all, because those questions are really interesting and are motivating me to make me also some question, you know. So concerning the Emma question about communities and indigenous people and so on, and that's something that I really concerned about. That's why we do reforestation with high social impact. Okay, we don't have to think about forest with something that are just green, that are just trees, that are just vegetables. Okay, we need to think about forest as we should do with sustainability in many different colors, in many different consistencies, in many different ways. Why? Because forests are the house, the home, the home, not the house, I'm sorry. The home for many different people, for many different animals. In forest, in Africa, Latin America, Southeast Asia, and so on, but also here in Europe, thanks forest, a lot of communities, they can live, they can have food, they can have the economic resource for their life. So the problem that deforestation is generating in communities is that they are eliminating, they are taking out all the possibilities for those communities to stay in those places, to keep going in the same way, to keep living in the same way of before. Secondly, it's about the culture of this community, Emma. Why? Because in forest, and here I will answer Elena question, in forest, those community, they have their knowledge, they have their culture, they have their own history. So when we destroy those forests, we are not just cutting down trees, we are eliminating, we are destroying years and years of their history, their culture, their scientific knowledge. Okay, and about the Elena question is that thanks forest, today we have knowledge about a lot in the pharmaceutical sector, for example. Forests are the encyclopedia of the pharmaceutical sector. Without forests, the pharmaceutical sector could not have the same impact of today. Okay, so definitely forests are ecosystem where human beings are one of the most important actors of the ecosystem. It's not just about trees, as I was saying before. It's not just about animal or fruit or agriculture. Hope to answer your question, Mathieu, and then Mikolaj. I'm sorry, Mikolai maybe.
It's been. I am so glad to hear this from you, and to hear your presentation. It's been really great. I am trying to launch a company also with a positive hopefully impact. But I want to ask, like, what is the business model of zeroCO2, and how can eco startups appeal? For example, technological startups appeal when obviously their prices are much higher, for example, as a sustainable solution to customers. Oh, you're again muted. Sorry.
I'm sorry. It's Sunday evening, and here in Italy it's 25th of April, our Liberation Day. So for us, it's something important. I'm a bit tired this week because it was the Earth Day, the 22nd. We had many activities. I will recollect also Mikolai. I'm sorry for your name pronunciation question, and then I will answer both.
Okay, so mine was about artificial trees and artificial photosynthesis. Have you heard about such ideas, and do you think that they should be implemented, or just traditional afforestation is?
Okay, the audio quality was not that good, but I think that I get the question. So about our business model, we are going deeper in the economic part. So our business model it's quite simple, Mathieu. And if you have any kind of project of your company, please share it with me. I will pleased to help you and to give you some feedback. Our business model is that we plant trees in Guatemala. We directly control all the value chain. So that's our biggest value. Why? Because no one, or let's say a little amount of organization here in Europe, they control the value chain. They just have local partner, they pay for trees, and they have these papers saying, okay, we have been planting 100,000 trees and that's it. No, we have our nursery in Guatemala, in Peru, in Argentina. We have our local employees that is working on the project every single day. So thanks this approach, we can verify the impact of our work, okay? And we can also try to define the direction of our work. So I don't want just to plant trees as many European institutions does. I want to plant trees along with farming communities and leave their social impact and leave their competencies on agriculture. So if I directly manage all the value chain, then I can do that, okay? So we plant tree, and then here in Europe, we have many partners, business partner, consumer partner, that pay us for the services of planting trees around the world to offset CO2, to create with them marketing plans, to create with them sustainability plans, okay? So that's our business model, and hope to have answered your question. About the question of Nikolai, I'm sorry, about artificial way to offset CO2, my answer will be simple, but I think effective. Trees are solution to this problem since billion of years. There is no a huge why to create other solution. Trees are the most effective and economical solution to this problem. Then, if you ask me, will it be smart to create artificial offsetting solution? Maybe, but in the meanwhile, we should plant a lot of trees because we don't have the time to wait the industry to create this artificial solution. And anyway, I have a bit of concerning where the CO2 will be stored. There are some problem on those solution. There are still some problem on this solution. Okay. I don't know if there are others question. Did I answer your question, Nikolai and Mathieu? And most of all, I'm pronouncing right your name, Nikolai, or not?
Yes, it's Mikołaj, but Mikołaj is very fine.
Okay. Noel, please.
Thank you, and thanks for this super interesting presentation. I really enjoyed it. And maybe this question is obsolete now with answering Mathieu's and Mikolai's questions, but if there's one message that you would want to give us, what would that be?
I'm sorry, but the quality was bad. If there is a message that I want to give you?
Yes, exactly.
I think that it was clear during my presentation, during my speech. We need to think about our future in a concrete way. We don't have any more time to waste. Any more time, any other years spent thinking about how can I be more sustainable today? No, start with your everyday life, with the when you go to the supermarket and you have two different products, you have an opportunity. And I'm going to exaggerate this sentence, but I want to be clear. I think that, once again, I'm going to exaggerate. In 2021, our opportunity to vote is when we go to the supermarket and we make decision, okay? Why? Because we can give our money to a company that is doing its work fine, or we are not going to give our money to a company that is not doing its work fine, its work sustainable. So I can give you an example of what happened here in Italy about this, because you maybe will answer me, okay, Andrea, but that's super hard to reach because I am one, the market size is super big, my impact won't be real. It's not like this. I give you an example. It's an Italian example. You will sorry me, but that's super effective example. Almost 10 years ago, there was an article in a newspaper speaking about the unsustainable production of palm oil. So in the next weeks, in the next months, people, consumers, started to don't buy cookies with oil palm in the supermarket. So a company started to produce cookie without oil palm and put the small logo of without oil palm. In few weeks, consumers start to buy just the cookies without oil palm. In the next 6 months, all the other companies weren't making revenues, so they started to produce cookies without oil palm. And it started in our everyday life, in our decision at the supermarket. So the impact that our goods, the goods that we buy have is super big. So the suggestion that I want to share with you is start by your everyday life, because you can be an example for your friends, your family, your colleague, and then all the other will follow you in a more sustainable lifestyle. Other question? Okay, I mean, maybe there aren't.
I could go on for hours, but I will give priority to the others. So, guys, if you still have some questions or curiosities, even about the personal career of Andrea, that is just a couple of years older than you, go on. Otherwise, we can move to the general channel.
Yeah, anyway, I want to congratulate you all for the super interesting question. And yeah, it's not easy I speak quite a lot with young people, and they always, when I start to ask them, okay, make me some question. Do you have question, curiosity, doubts? They usually keep in silence, and that's super bad, because I think that we can share knowledge here, no? You make me question that bring me to make myself question, and that's super positive also for me, not just for you, mainly for me, I think. So I really want to congratulate you all. Yeah, I was in this big university 1 week ago. I make this speech, and after 30-minute speech, no one question. It was super bad. Matteo, do you have another question? Please go ahead.
Yes, I'll just very quickly like to ask, what is the future of agriculture in your eyes when we're destroying forests because of it? So should we go like the technological? Will technology actually save us with like vertical farming and highly effective thing, you know? And also, I'm questioning like pesticides. What do you think about that? What's the future of that?
Super interesting. Super. In order to answer in a deep way to this question, we should meet each other for 2 or 3 hours, and maybe it's not enough. So I think the future agriculture, we need to do a step back. Which is the driver for this? For the way that agriculture is, I don't find the word. So
promoted.
Basically, what I want to say is that the problem is not agriculture by itself. The problem is the production, the overproduction of food in our world. So we produce food not for 1 planet, not for 2 planets, for around 3 planets. So the problem, Matteo, is that we are producing too much food every single day, every single year of our life. So agriculture, we can have more sustainable agriculture, yes. We can have sustainable pesticides, yes. That is not the point. The point is that we need to stop waste our food, and we need to start buying food as we need it. Not, okay, I go to the supermarket, I buy food as I live with 10 other people, but we are just in 2. That's the problem, okay? So the thing here is that the system need to be rethinked in order to have a more sustainable everyday production. Then the vertical agriculture, I'm fully agree with you, that could be a solution, a small scale solution, because I'm pretty sure that it's hard to have vertical agriculture also in other countries because of the amount of money that need to create the system. But anyway, once again, the problem is the system is not the agriculture by itself, okay? So when we think about livestock, when we think about Seaspiracy, the documentary on Netflix, the problem there is not just about fishing. It's also about fishing, but we can have sustainable fishing. The problem is about system. Why we are fishing that much? Why we are creating amount of fishes for 2 planets? That's the problem, okay? So I think that it's quite good answer. To try to simplify as much as I can the answer to stay in 2-3 minutes answers. Elena, please.
Now, if I may, I just wanted to add 1 point to this point of discussion, let's say, and then I will pass the word to Madda, who is gonna wrap it up so we can be on time for the closure. So just two things regarding pesticides. I'm sure Andrea knows it way more than I do, but check it out, biological control. So we do have alternatives. There, but try to pose yourself the question, why are we still using something that is detrimental to the environment if the alternative is there? So which is the business behind it, which is the profit? Are we in a monopoly? Are we not? And second point that I want just to address, and I think it's what Andrea really underlined, which is amazing. It's about the system, as he was saying. So try to approach with criticism and a critical mindset, even the concept of scarcity, of crisis. Is it scarcity or crisis, or is just lack of equal distribution of resources? So how come the word is one, but the realities are so many in terms of access to food, healthcare, and so on and so forth. So with that, Andrea would just ask you like 2 sentences to conclude, and then I will pass the word to Madda.
Yeah, really thank you, Elena, for your point. I fully agree with you. I think that what we really need, it's a cultural change, where culture, it's also our economic system, industrial system, and also what we buy at the supermarket, how much we eat, how we eat, and so on. So what we need is to change our way to see our lifestyle and our planet. I think that you all are here with a reason, and I'm really sure that you have a critical mindset. So that's the really first step to do when you want to have a more sustainable planet and more sustainable future, to have young people interested and curious like you. So once again, I would like to thank Elena team and the European Youth Parliament and all the organization to invite me. For me, it was hard because it's Sunday evening. Once again, I'm sorry, but it was really, really interesting, this last part of question, and to chat a bit with you. Elena, please feel free to share with them my email address, and please, whenever you want, write me, and I will be happy to answer you.
Thank you so much, Andrea. Your contribution really was meaningful for the whole event, and I think for all the participants to this call. And you really showed us how we have an impact on everyday life. So this was really important. This was the aim of the whole workshop, I think. And all of your points and all the questions of the participants were really food for thought, I would say. And that's what's important, as you said, always having more points of reflection and thinking, further thinking. So thank you a lot, everybody. Now we can leave this call and join the general call on the general channel, well, on the Sustainability Fair channel general. Thank you a lot again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Goodbye, Andrea. Thank you.
That was fascinating.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
bye-bye.
you very much. Goodbye.
Elena, io mi devo collegare dall'altra parte?
No, se sei stanco vai, diciamo solo grazie a tutti. Quindi.
No, scusami, io oggi sono arrivato da una settimana davvero...
Grazie solo per essere venuto, ma vai pure tranquillo.
No, ma partecipo, se ci sono poi degli interventi finali, volentieri li ascolto. Grazie mille.
Ma grazie a te per essere venuto.
No, ma a me mi fa piacere parlare con le persone giovani. Purtroppo oggi ero davvero un po' stanco, è stata una settimana complicata per la cosa dell'Earth Day, però mi ha fatto piacere, anzi se posso davvero dargli la mia email, che sono tutti ragazzi e ragazze molto...
Poi sono giovanissimi, non sembra, ma hanno tra i 15 e i 16 anni.
Cazzo, hanno 15-16 anni? Ah, caspita, ok. Ancora meglio, allora dagli la mia email senza problemi. Va bene, dai, ci vediamo dall'altra parte.
Ci vediamo di là, grazie.
Ciao.